Home is where the heart is. Heaven knows I didn't get enough, and I'm afraid of darkness. So life is better when you light me up. And I'm ashamed of all of my mistakes. For heaven's sakes, I've been swinging from the rafters, and I don't know if I got what it takes. For heaven's sakes, throw me out with all them bastards. Small disasters got me headed for
I have chances to go, but they don't. Yeah, normally we do, but see,
Global warming, it's killing them.
you know what it is? That's not what was. That's not what was killing them. What was killing them is this area gets its fish from the Moccasin Point hatchery, which is over there on 120 as you're heading up to Yosemite.
Can I scoot you closer, Pop? Do you think you can come in about a foot?
You want me to really talk?
Yeah, we're just yakking. We're just
That'd be
yakking.
fun.
We're still finding our voice is what this is all about.
We don't know anything.
Sometimes you get talking and realize we're the only two people that
Can
care
I
about this stuff.
peg the meter from here?
I'm sure you can. Yes, you're going to be.
See my new boo-boo?
How'd you make the
I
boo-boo?
just started out to head up here and
Another bar fight?
Yeah, right. Just whacked it on the dresser. Just
What's at the hotel?
yeah.
And are you bleeding?
I thought I was, but then it's not bleeding.
So
So-
you're just
no,
whining.
No sympathy. You're right.
Regular.
Water.
I would like a glass of water, please. Yes, thank you.
I'm thinking you don't need Melinda and I, or do you want
It's,
us?
no, it's
No.
fine.
What kind of a conversation is this going to be without the without the ladies? We need the ladies.
We don't need the ladies.
Well, we tried.
Clear and defined.
And
No.
as you massage all this conversation, it's going to be a world news kind of thing, or
World news.
We're talking. It's about here. Everyone's talking about the world news, and that works its way in. But living here in the woods, that's why we're different. Twainhart, living
Sonora
in Twainhart,
area.
Right.
Sonora area. You know, we're in the woods, but we're still. I mean, you see what the town is like this time of year. It's full of
Thank you, dear.
people. We affectionately use the term Tourons. They're tourists, but you know,
Morons. Or is that
We
what-
weren't going to say that, but you
that's
did.
your word.
Yeah,
though.
we don't put words in our mouth, but yeah.
But
Can
exactly.
we edit this right now?
Yeah, I can do that. I'm going to delete. Yeah, so the idea here is each Sunday we get together and talk for about an hour about how our week went, how what's it like to live in the woods, and just invite people to join us on this is our way of inviting the whole world to join us on the deck and have deck talk.
Well, although there's a little town by the name of Paradise, but you folks live in paradise.
we
I
do.
mean, the fact is, you don't want people to find out about it.
We don't, so we always use the wrong.
Enough people do.
Yeah.
You know, this
Right.
weekend is the ultimate example of that with the craziness in downtown.
Right, and the fact is that a lot of folks didn't get to go to Yosemite this weekend.
No, that's
'Cause
one of the
it's
reasons why it's.
flat closed, and when we stayed at the Best Western Motel lodge in Sonora, which is a favorite spot because their facilities are great, and they have, as we had breakfast with the buffet that they feed, or your choice, whatever, and everybody around us was speaking French or German, a bunch of foreigners, and they
Right.
had to land there because they were turned away from Yosemite.
Right.
And sad as that is, I mean, I feel bad, but there's
Right.
nothing we can do about it. But here they had a chance to see some of California that they wouldn't have had to see.
Absolutely.
Yosemite, as you guys know, is more spectacular. But when you live here, when you get up in the morning, and you live in the woods, and you live in the woods that is so peaceful and picturesque and quiet, except for the natural country stuff,
Right.
a barking dog, and the stuff that you put up with normally, because that's what happens in the country.
Yeah.
It is blissful. And you compare this where we come from the city, and we don't hear crickets.
Yeah.
you hear crickets up here,
Crickets
And we see stars.
and
Yeah.
you see stars up here. We don't.
there's no light pollution. So
We can see the
thing.
moon under. And we can see probably the planets stand out, and after the planets, forget it. You can't see any stars.
No. I guess just to keep people up to speed, we're talking to my pop. He and my stepmom came up to visit for the weekend, Mimi, and we're just kind of talking a little bit about living in the woods and what that means. So when Molly and I told you and Mimi that we were going to move from the city to the country to raise our kids up here, did you freak out?
Quite the opposite. The opposite was the having you have a chance to live in the country, because when you were young, we actually moved during my previous life to the mountains and had a chance to have a country living, and so it was a choice that I thought was great. And what folks will tell you as you're moving out of suburbia in the city is that you're going to have no friends and there's nothing to do up there, and it goes on and on for all the reasons you shouldn't move away from all the facilities and the hospitalization, all the services there are, and it's totally not true. There's not one speck of truth with that.
Yeah.
Unless you don't want to assimilate, when you assimilate into a neighborhood with schools and church and you name it, the grocery store and the barber shop, and it goes on and on. And there's all those services there, not as many of them. Mm-hmm. You don't have 12 choices of barbers,
Right.
but you got somebody to cut your hair.
Right. I think we might have two choices of barber, maybe.
Yes, and they're all in their 70s.
And it's
They're
They
gonna-
have barber
they're gonna be
chairs.
dying- They're going to be dying out.
And they got the multicolored swirl and
barber pole and
for
the-
real that really
and
is electrical and works and lights up when
it spins.
when they go to work. They turn it on.
Yeah, and it's got an actual toggle switch on it on the
Yeah.
barber pole, and then they put the combs inside the tonic or whatever it was that cleans
Alcohol
the combs.
because of cooties and
Cooties.
whatever. Right. When
And,
if you have crabs, you got to kill those crabs.
You've got to kill the crabs.
And one of the guys, I haven't been in his establishment for a while, but he was still charging, even up to a couple of years ago, like $7.76. He's very patriotic.
For a haircut.
$7.76 for a haircut. He also
Bless
has the
his heart.
shakiest hands of any barber, but he's still doing it.
He's the one you don't want to have him put the mirror up so you can look at the back of your head.
Right.
So just forget it.
We're good.
I don't
Trust
feel
you.
like I'm bleeding, so I'm good.
I'm not gashed. That's good. Yeah, and he's the best at small talk. He'd be like, "So I couldn't help but notice the maple leaves are turning. You got some maples on your property?" And then you go, "Yeah, I do. Got a couple maples. They're beautiful." And then he'd be like, "Oh boy, those in the cottonwoods. Sure do love them." And he's like fantastic at small talk.
Yes.
And I think that's maybe something that's
Same jokes.
same exact jokes every day. Yeah, I like that stuff. And I knew that we'd gone from like San Jose to Auburn growing up, but it seemed like such a natural transition to me. It just seemed like my life. So when I asked you about it, I'm thinking about going from, Watsonville to Twainhart.
What was my answer?
You said we did it. When I asked you, I was like, "What do you think? Am I crazy?" Like, we did that exact thing. I was like, "Oh, you did," and it must have felt just like this. Like, am I doing the right thing? Are the kids going to be crazy? Or will I make no friends? And truth is, I've made the most friends here than I've ever made in my life.
Closer friends. And
friends who care.
Capital F on the friends, too, because they mean a little more
Yeah.
than suburbia. Suburbia, the hi, hello, how are you friends? And here, they're... do you have a cup of sugar? Whatever that.
absolutely.
Those kind of friends.
That's exactly that.
And you depend on them more. And Dave, you made the transition actually from a suburbia to a suburbia in the Sacramento area. Mm-hmm. Then you jumped up here
And I jumped up here.
into the wild country.
But as I've told Matt before, growing up, we were very busy, very occupied with things at church, and we were always going to camp. And whether it was a camp in the Santa Cruz Mountains, whether it was here, I used to go to Silver Spur in junior high, or we'd go to Tahoe. I loved being in the mountains. I love tall trees. I love cabins. And people always talked about how it's great you're able to get away for a weekend. And I always, why would you live anywhere else? Even growing up, my parents are from San Luis Obispo, and that part's not necessarily the country, but man, that's a much slower, especially back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. It was a quiet
Night and day, yeah.
Yeah, it was a quiet little college town. And then I had aunt and uncle's family that were out in Paso Robles and Templeton, and I loved being out there more than anything. I was not. I did not care for the city. I hated commuting. I worked a job where I commuted the length of Lawrence Expressway. And we start down there where my mom's place is, down where Quito turns into Lawrence Expressway, all the way down to 237, the Lockheed Corridor.
You had a job that you traveled on?
Yeah. We had to work down over there by Tasman, kind of near where Great America is out to the... And when you see the same people you've never met before in the car next to you every day, that's a rut. That you're just in a rut.
And all going back, it is a rut. You go back to my childhood, when I was first aware of that I was a little kid alive, was in San Francisco. And I can remember visiting, my grandparents lived in Saratoga. Saratoga was 1,500 people, that's all.
Right.
And had one bank and one drugstore and two grocery stores.
About what year was that? Do you remember?
That was in 1946, right after the Second World War. We moved down to Saratoga from San Francisco. We lived out in the Sunset District, so we were used to fog and city noises and corner markets. You didn't have Safeways then. Well, you had Safeways in areas, but when you lived in the neighborhoods in San Francisco, you had corner markets. That's just the way it was. And I can remember as a little boy going down to visit Grandpa and Grandma in Saratoga, and little town, and that's when I first heard. That's first got hot, and it didn't cool off at nighttime. We're used to San Francisco, where it got 55. It was normal at nighttime. It never got warmer than that at nighttime. And we're on the coast. And
what did you think as a kid, like staying hot at night? Did it kind of blow your mind?
Oh yeah, we had a hard time sleeping, and the crickets kept you awake, and it smelled differently. The houses were different and older, and there was a lot of things about it that made it totally different. And as we eventually assimilated into the country, those things became normal, and the city life wasn't something I would ever willingly try to do. It wouldn't be my choice to do anymore.
But you love, like you have an affinity for San Francisco. You love San
Absolutely.
Francisco. Like it's in your heart. Like
Absolutely.
super. But you would never move back there, right?
Never moved back permanently, full time. Only a place to visit, and you could visit it every weekend because there's just a ton of things to do in San Francisco.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It has a lot to offer. It's got a lot of weirdos too, but and a lot of liberal things that I couldn't put up with if I was involved with the government or all that. It's different, but the things about San Francisco and what it has to offer is in the downtown area and the shows and the Orpheum Theater and the Square Times, not Times Square, but there's, I forget what it is now. Out to the museums and Golden Gate Park and the aquariums. And there's just tons of things to do, and obviously everybody wants to go see the Golden Gate Bridge, but even just regular things to do.
How old were you when you lived in San Francisco?
We moved there about, I'm told, in 39, so the war hadn't started yet. The war started in 41. My dad went into the service before the war started here. The war was already going on in Europe, the European theater.
And he volunteered, or was he drafted?
He volunteered. And the war was going on in the east, where Japan had already invaded China, and was moving into places. I can't remember the exact sequence of Okinawa, and on to the Marianas. As you look at a globe, then you see how far the Japanese moved before they got stopped at the cornerstone of Australia. If you look at the globe, your thumb measures the distance between Japan's bases and the mainland of Australia. People don't remember that; they're not taught about. But they also landed. The Japanese also, a couple of years later, landed on American soil. Nobody talks about that. But when you talk about the Aleutians in Alaska, and just ask them who controlled Dutch Harbor during World War II for a time. The Japanese had a base there in Dutch Harbor, which is American soil. Nobody talks about them flying balloons over the west coast, and having their paper balloons, and funny that what do they think they're going to hurt with a paper balloon? And a few blew up and hurt people. So as a kid, I was taught not to pick up anything shiny, and because we had balloons exploding, not very often, but it happened.
That's amazing.
We had air raids that were for real. And when they sirens went off, we were afraid they were going to invade the West Coast. We had actual literal air raids, and we filled the tub full of water because if you had an air raid and some bombs hit, you better have a water supply. If you don't have water, you're done.
Yeah, especially in the city, I would think, right?
That's right. You got to have.
So your tub of water would be your cooking and bathing and everything you need.
Not bathing, mainly drinking and cooking.
Yeah.
You didn't bathe.
You wouldn't bathe in it.
No.
Is that your first memory, or what are your first memories?
Probably, I can't, because when I began having things I remembered, the war was already in full swing, and I wasn't aware of not being in a war. So the world surrounded me, and my mom went to meetings with women that had husbands that were gone, and so the women were left, and the women were left to take care of the families and some essential stuff, and they eventually started being Rosie the Riveter and building ships at the shipyard, and Kaiser's coffins were some. They turned out a ship like to a week or whatever, some fantastic amount, I can't remember.
Kaiser's coffins, that was the name for U-boats or something like that?
That was the name for the freighters that they were turning around to get supplies into England, and to get the supplies into across the Pacific into our bases where we had Guam and Midway, and not counting Hawaii and all the bases that we had to extend to, and eventually the Philippines, which we got kicked out of, and MacArthur got kicked out and has said, I shall return and all that.
How old were you during that time? How old are you?
Born in 38, so when I was 4, let's see, it was 38, September, so December of 41, so 38, 39, 40, 41, 3 years old when the war started, so 4 and 5, 3, 4, 5, you're kindergarten, you
know stuff.
You go to school and all the normal things.
Your brain's going.
But you're at war, and there's not a lot of men around, and you have meat rationed, and you couldn't get butter. That's when they developed white stuff and
margarine or whatever.
And Nuco, margarine, and put a little orange pill in it, and you pop the pill and squeezed the plastic bag and mooshed it out till you got the thing turned yellow, so it would look like butter. But
wait, explain it to me again. So you'd have the butter container came in a tube then, or
came in a 1 pound plastic bag.
Okay, and you squeeze that out.
You had a pill inside the bag.
What did the pill look like? Did it look like
little orange,
like an aspirin, or like
about the size of that red light there.
Okay.
And you popped it, and it squirted out orange
dye or whatever.
Dye coloring, and you kneaded the sack until it spread yellow throughout, and then you had a butter looking.
It looked buttery.
Buttery. Well,
was it white when you first got it then?
First,
like lardy white.
Lard white is what I ate. Then this was a treat to color. It was gimmicky, and
but it helped, right? It helped, like, that looks like butter.
You probably, thinking back, I don't know, but thinking back, you ate less of it because it wasn't very good.
Yeah, you're like, I'm not going to have.
But then you had, you didn't get a lot of meat either, and so you were limited in what you could eat. You had meat ration stamps. You could just buy a little bit of meat. You couldn't get it.
So what do you think when I go to the store and I get like a whole bunch of steaks and butter and corn? Do you think, oh man, he has no idea? Or do you think, God bless him, he's great?
Well, it's a normal way of life for us now. But I'm sad a little bit. I shrink back a little bit because some of the history of what the what's the term they call the society then was the strong society of
the greatest the greatest generation,
something like that.
Yeah.
That's close.
Yeah.
But the men folk, when you were 17, you went in the service for the most part, unless you had a critical job. They went into the service by the thousands.
Mm-hmm.
And the comparison, nobody wants to see death, and especially in a war, and so our wars now in Iraq and Afghanistan and thousands die is terrible. But more folks died in the first day of World War II for America, when they bombed Pearl Harbor. Mm-hmm. More people died in the first day than we're seeing in 4 years in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Death
toll,
thousands.
as tragic as it is, we've diminished it by tenths, right?
Right. And because medicine and the triage system and saving the savables and whatever that decisions have to be made in triage, that you take these that would be written off, then are saved now.
Yeah.
For the most part, 80% of them.
Right. You can save a guy who's missing a leg, or
right.
Somebody's got an infection.
You find out how to stop the bleeding, start the bleeding.
And there's more of a Geneva Convention style sensibility as far as like we need to save them, whereas maybe it was hard. Like you think of like the Russians in World War II, weren't they a little more like, oh, let them all go? Like, wasn't it a little more dismissive of human life?
Yeah, the Russians. You can read the good side and the bad side of the Russians, but the Russians and the Stalin's group and the communists. I haven't studied history, so it's not quotable, but you can erase this from whatever. But
we mean any country.
But the Russians killed the Germans, quote unquote, killed 6 million Jews. Mm-hmm. The Russians started the count. It wasn't Jews necessarily, but it was a whole lot of what they decided were their enemies. They killed 50,000 of them.
Yeah.
There was stuff going on then that was just unreal numbers, and there's things that are going on now because what happened right at the end of the Second World War was an atomic bomb went off, and we were the ones that pushed the button and obliterated at Hiroshima and Nagasaki 100,000 people in one flash.
In an instant, right.
One flash. And so awful things happened then, but they're developing more awful things that we don't even think about or talk about now.
Right. Right. So you moved to Saratoga when you were about 8 then?
Yes.
Is that? And you went to school there and
started grammar school.
Yeah. And I never met your mom. Pictures of her like squirting you with a hose, and she's often laughing in the photographs. You tend to have a whimsical sense of humor. Do you think you got that from your mom? Did she have a sense of humor, or
she had a great sense of humor. She did. It allowed her to survive.
I imagine she had a lot to.
She had excuse me, your great grandma raised, and that's why she died young. She died when she was 51. Huh. She had a burden. She had a son born in 1937. So, and Greg was a year older than the twins, and so I was one of the twins. So she had in April her firstborn, husband gone already, and then September, 18 months later, here comes 2 of them. Hmm. My goodness, what are we going to do now?
And you guys probably were a handful, I would imagine. little bit?
Well, all three in diapers, and then those generations, the washing machines then, the modern ones, the ones you didn't scrub on a scrubbing board in a deep sink
Yeah.
or some tub. We've progressed beyond going down to the creek and washing clothes and beating on a rock. We've come from that to a tub and a scrubbing board with bumps on it, and you've seen them.
Yeah, I've seen washboard. People
Washboards, right? And when they had a machine, actual machine that did wash. Well, it had a rotator in the bottom, and it would swish the water back and forth, and you added suds, and it got sudsy, and then you had them all sudsy, and then you had to wash them out and wash the suds out of them. So you had to rinse them, and so to rinse them, you had to individually put these through a wringer, and there was two rubber rollers squeezed together with spring pressure, and it squeezed the water out of them. So you had to run everything that was washed through the wringer and then rinse them a couple times, get the soap out, wring them out again.
Wow.
Rinse them, wring them out again. And she did this with 3 kids in diapers. Count them up.
That's millions of diapers.
That's
Talk
about well, they didn't have Pampers. They had white cloth. You think about some of that stuff.
Well, Molly and I, when we had kids, we thought we were really, pie-eyed. We really thought we would save Mother Earth. We're not going to get a bunch of prefabricated, diapers and all these things. And we're going to do cloth diapers. And
you're going to be heroes, right?
Heroes, save the world. And we did it for one day. And we're like, no, like, how do you... There's no way we're throwing the poopy diapers in the washer with all of our regular clothes, and then it didn't come out right.
She probably rinsed them out.
No, we just put them in with the shirts. I don't know how that works. We rinsed some of the poop out, but then you're rinsing poop out down the sink or in the hose, whatever, and then you're throwing that in the washer, and then
I think several stages of getting these things.
Yeah, there's lots of poop work being done
so that you could put them in the dryer. No, hang on, those weren't invented yet.
Yeah, and so your mom didn't have a dryer, so it was
the clothesline,
wringing out clothes, and literally, like, we thought, how often do you poop? He needs 3 diapers. It turns out you need 147
that's
diapers.
When the term came along, put a cork in it.
Yeah, like, let's cork this baby's bottom. It's crazy.
Right.
I think most of the people who do that now, they are part of a diaper service, so they're using the cloth diapers, but they put them in a bag and have someone else take them away and do that for them. But I'm sure they don't ask exactly what's your process of cleaning
steps.
Everything.
Yeah. You get a whole fresh stack of diapers. Yeah, your mom didn't have that.
We just wish all the poop away,
and it works great.
And it works great. it's you're just someone else, so you can have a clean conscience. You're having someone else do it.
That's right.
And your mom didn't do that. Your mom had to do every step of the way.
She didn't have any choice.
Yeah, there was no.
And nobody was going to take the kids.
Did she try to get rid of you guys?
We were all ugly.
Ugly.
She couldn't get rid of us.
Yeah.
So she had to raise us. Well,
if you had good-looking kids, you probably would have been.
Yeah, if we had been cute, it would have been different.
Yeah, treacherous looking. And so you had a smart older brother, and then the 2 of you came along, the twins, Bill and Ted. And did you ever feel like, I need to be? Greg is straight A's. Do I need to do that, or what was your?
I just told you a story last night, and you're bringing it up again to shame.
Well, you didn't share it with the world, Bill. So
you don't have to tell it. We can edit it out, but it's funny.
Well, being a twin, of course, there's a resentment from the older brother. We'll just go about with a personal upbringing.
He wasn't as special, of course.
He wasn't special. And he was just as ugly as we were, and so he wasn't special. And he came along, and he tried to please Mom, and of course he was always a favorite, but he didn't know it. She favored him all the time. Well, and then he turns out he's brilliant, and he goes to school, and from the 5th grade on, he's all straight A's and valedictorian of the class and all that kind of stuff all the way through college. And so we're here. We are a year behind him. He was in just 1 grade ahead of us because he was in April, got into there, and we were tail end Charlies. We were born in September, so we went to school when you're when you're barely 5 years old. You just make the
You just made
make
the cut?
jump, make
Yeah.
the cut.
So all the kids already like had a little more. Right, each year you were at the tail end each time, so
Right.
you felt like you were
I'm-
always playing catch up.
So I'm building up an excuse for us being dumb.
I'm seeing where you're headed with this.
And so anyway, Greg, of course, paved the way for us because as twins, it's funny. I've been asked this question many times about what's it feel like to be a twin, and my reaction is programmed now to be, I don't know. I really don't know what it's like not to be a twin. And so
Yeah.
you have to kind of figure it out. But you have answers because you always have a friend. For the most, if you're friends, there are some twins that hate each other. But Ted and I really pretty much got along, and I was obedient, and he was the boss.
So you were obedient to Ted, not only to your mom and to Greg. You were pretty
to Ted.
obedient to Ted.
I didn't care about Mom, Greg.
But Ted was your boss.
Yeah. He
Do
came
what he
out
said.
second.
And
So
yet he
kicked
took
me
over.
out.
Yeah. Right away, he showed you.
Well, as long as your mom knew that, you couldn't be held accountable for most anything. If you were just right. Did it work out like that?
And it did kind of work out sometimes like that, but she got smart too.
Right.
That
At some point, you got
we
take
figured things out
responsibility.
to try to avoid punishment, and he did it. I didn't. Do it.
Did you do that?
Ted,
It was him.
Ted was.
When he got spanked, did you feel it?
Oh yeah, do you have a symbiotic?
No. Oh, that's great.
That
That's
never
great.
happened. But
That's
you
all.
talk about things that as you go along through life as a twin, and here I am approaching in a couple of weeks. I'll be 80, and an old twin. He's still alive.
Oh no.
So you go all through life, and he's 80 also. He's
the
not
same
82.
time.
He's not 2 years older than me. He's
80 as well.
Yes, that's it as well. And you don't see two old farts walking around that are twins very much.
yeah.
No.
And so you.
But when I
develop-
do, completely adorable.
Just want to pinch them both. And they can't run very fast, so it's easy to get them.
That's right. Whack you with my cane though.
I know. I want to get you a cane. How would you feel about this? I want to get you.
I resent it right off.
You
the bat.
already have a cane, so you can't pretend you don't. I want to get you one that's.
That's a walking stick. Don't you?
You have a walking stick.
I bought that at REI.
That's a hiking stick.
That's right.
REI, not a sponsor of the show, but could
But
be.
might be if they
ever hear
work
it.
their cards right.
Yeah. So I want to get you a hiking stick from REI that is also a 12,000 volt taser.
I was going to say, combination walking stick cattle prod.
Yeah.
is exactly.
What would you do if I gave you a taser that was 4
I
feet
would
long?
cherish it first. Yeah.
Would you zap somebody?
Well, Ted would be the one
Ted,
first.
and
mess
maybe-
with me, buddy. You've been bordering me around all your life.
It's payback time.
And
80 years.
We call him Mister, and we call him Chief too because
He's a chief.
He was a chief in the fire department. So
I named a dog after him, Chief Rose.
yeah, that's it. And so we salute him. Greg too.
I salute him.
Ted was second class petty officer. Greg was a full colonel.
Yeah.
Greg still saluted Ted.
I salute Ted because he made a tuna fish sandwich for me, and I threw it against the front bay window of
And
his
it
house.
stuck.
And it stuck
It
there and
stuck to
slid
the
down
window.
and made the squeaky noise.
Yeah.
And I regretted that, and he straightened me out, and
It was-
I've saluted him ever since.
You had a lisp then, and it was too spicy.
This tuna fish
It
is
was
too spicy.
and you punched it up against the window.
I showed him.
Take that, yeah.
Such a rude kid.
I was a horrible child. I came from the dumb line, obviously.
No, well, you came from the good-looking side, though.
I wound up being
So you went
handsome. Maybe your mom's genetics came through
Right,
at some point.
They won the battle.
Horribly handsome person.
Right.
So then you grew up, and in your era, it was post World War II, and then at age 8, you moved to Saratoga. You grew up there, going to a school in Saratoga.
What school in Saratoga?
Started at the grammar school on Oak Street. That's still there to this day. And
Because I'm a Saratoga area guy myself. I think you've been around.
Right.
Because that's not Saratoga, but it's Saratoga nonetheless. That's
included as Saratoga
Yeah,
spread out
yeah.
from this.
it's kind of Campbell, San Jose, and then Saratoga kind of has a finger going in
Two
there.
horns in a little bit. And what was the name of your grade school?
Saratoga Grammar School.
Oh,
Okay.
Saratoga. And is your teacher still there, do you think?
Oh, no, long gone.
What was her
long
name?
gone, Barry. The third grade teacher
Eve.
was Mrs. B.
Eve.
Yeah, sister,
First woman.
Sister to Eve. Yeah,
That was a while
She had a
back.
boyfriend,
Adam?
and she and Eve, had a little bit of a falling out over
Over some
I think
fruit.
his name was Adam. Something like
Fruit drove them apart. They didn't have money issues.
yeah.
Favorite teacher? Do you have a favorite teacher growing up?
Probably would pick the meanest one.
Really?
Yeah, Mrs. Firing in the 7th grade.
Firing.
Firing. That was her name, and she was very, very strict, and she was the one that people loved.
Why is that?
Interesting.
I haven't figured out to this day.
But you loved her.
Yeah, she was.
She held the
As a
line.
kid,
You know what? Where you figure
Yeah,
back,
good question.
as a
go ahead.
kid you did, or now you appreciate what she did?
No. As a kid, she was one of the more popular teachers.
Interesting.
Do you think it's because a lot of the kids had parents that were in World War II and they didn't have a father figure, so she sort of was that strict hold the line thing that people craved, or am I just totally talking out of my bottom?
I don't know that it could be that or would, and I never thought of it that way. I thought of it as, if you have somebody that is going to do what they say they're going to do, that if you're the herd of four cows in the middle of the pasture, and then you walk out to the fence and check to see how the neighbor cow is doing, and back to the center, and then you go back to the fence because you're friendly with the neighbors, and if they take down the fences, the book says they all huddle in the center of the property because of fear. But if you know what's going to happen, if the fence is there, her fences were there.
And she
You
never
knew-
moved them. She's like, that's
Never
the line.
moved the fences. Never took them away.
Yeah.
So if you climbed the fence and went on the other side,
Bam.
bam. And those bams, then those were still the days where a ruler was applied.
She could whack you.
Yeah, and then no lawsuits then.
I kind of miss those days.
They were great.
I kind of miss the be able to a hard line in the sand. And
Right, and she had the rules. We had multiplication tables and all that in the 7th grade. Now they do it in the 3rd grade, or, but then it was 7th grade. And you better memorize multiplication, 12 times 12 is 144, and you knew that. You better know that.
You weren't even like stuff like that. You memorized the table, like you didn't do the math. You're like, oh, I know the answer because it's
Memorize
there's a set
up
of-
to 12 times 12.
yeah. And did you have like a book then you brought home and your mom helped you, or how did you memorize the multiplication?
You had
stuff?
homework you brought home then, too. You didn't have backpacks. You had, in those days, you could carry a book. I can remember grammar school. In high school, of course, you had lockers. They don't do anymore because they burned them all up. But they had lockers in high school when you went to high school.
It seems like the lockers at my kids' high school go unused. I could be wrong, but it seemed like those are just nothing.
No, because there are places to stash pot.
Stash your pot.
Well, they don't have 50 pounds of textbooks anymore, do
The
they?
books are very hardbound, large books, so it's hard to. But they carry them all home, and they're back. Both
They
kids
still
carry
do
them
that.
home.
I thought everyone did iPads and
No,
Chromebooks
it's
now.
still thick, published, mass-produced, hardbound books, and both kids have 2 backpacks filled with hard books. That's a fact. So what'd you take? So I always assumed you wore a suit as a little kid and had a briefcase and brought everything home in that, but I may be wrong. And
Have you got pictures of me in a
I do.
suit? Yeah.
little kid.
No, I had not only a briefcase. I didn't carry a briefcase. Didn't have room for it. I carried a cello.
You did.
I'm an idiot. Because most people will pick a trumpet or a clarinet as a boy in 5th or 6th grade.
Yeah, but cellos are sexy, so you know that.
Well, I like.
You knew what the
I
word
like
was
the.
like.
I like the inner quality and the tone and the beauty of it, and it's all.
Did you
a
string your
bunch
own bow?
It's a crap because what I did was I was in love with the kid. Her name was Eleanor.
Pretty.
Eleanor was the cello player in the band, and so I picked cello so I could be her second.
Stand next to her.
Yeah.
That's the story as old as time. You pick the cello for the chicks. The
I
chicks.
picked the cello for
dig
the chicks.
cello.
I carried the damn thing. I did live a mile from school, literally just about a mile, and carried this cello to school.
Is that true?
Yeah, I did.
You've always told me that, and I've never believed it since I was little.
Yeah.
Did you really carry a cello
Yeah,
a mile?
my credibility with you, it was
It's
broken
shot.
down long ago.
You've lied so many times.
Right,
I don't
and
even
I
know.
try to
I don't
recreate
think
it.
you're my dad. I've never thought that.
I never wanted to tell you this.
You're ugly. I'm handsome.
we're
not too bright.
entering new ground now.
This is a confession.
There's a time
So you
for-
really did carry a cello a mile.
I did.
That is, I'm so thrilled.
I
to
didn't
learn
do
that.
it every day.
But you on cello day, you did.
Exactly.
And did you learn the cello?
I wasn't very good.
If we got a cello, could you do some basic
No,
chords on
no,
it?
I don't remember. Yeah, I didn't.
You're just saying that. I bet if I got you a cello.
No,
If I got you a
wouldn't know.
ukulele, would you be able to play
No.
Sunshine?
Just ukulele string it. No. Nah, I couldn't do it. I didn't know anything, but all I was looking for was beauty. I wasn't looking to really learn the cello. I tried.
What do you mean
And
looking
I
for beauty?
practiced.
Like beauty in music or beauty in Eleanor?
Go down.
Yeah.
The
She
gal.
was hot?
I thought so.
What grade was this?
Fifth, sixth grade.
So cute. That's so cute. I wonder where she is.
I'd like to meet her if she was still alive.
That is great. And she played the cello. I wonder if she kept with the cello. What got her into
Probably
cello?
world renowned, and I missed out.
She's
I-
probably Yo-Yo Ma.
I think that one of the positive things is that there's always room for cello. Anyway, that's why anyone would do it. I grew up playing trombone, and a trombone was not as big as a cello. It played the same music. It was like the same range, you read the same notes. And a trombone, it was a pain in the butt to carry
Was it a slide trombone?
a slide trombone.
My older brother still has his. Do you have your trombone?
No, my mom. No, I take that back. Zach has it for the 2 seconds he wanted to play in
An
band.
instrument?
And I think Lori still has my trombone.
You and Greg could play together. He still.
It's
plays
been a
it.
long time. It's been college since I played. It's been a long time. I was just thinking the other day if I could even still read music. I don't know. I'd have to think about
One
it.
of the things that taking a musical instrument taught me was that how music you read music.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that I never was aware that the notes meant anything.
Right.
And so in reading music, then when you start studying music,
Ice-T, my good man.
and
thank you. I love
when
Ice-T.
you study music, you find out how mathematical it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a finite science playing music. It's
Right.
incredible. Not been a beauty person, but it made me aware that at least
Right.
that kind of thing existed.
I enjoyed it. To this day, I wish I would have.
That's ice cubes going in the iced tea
Yeah.
glass.
Ice-T, those are wind chimes?
The wine we call wind chimes.
That's it.
Anyway, yeah, I enjoyed it. I wish I would have spent some time on the guitar and piano. I'd love to play the piano. My friend John that played in church this morning. He's moving from I guess that's Sunnyvale over by Homestead High School. He's moving up to Oregon.
Oh, no.
And,
Is he moving to Oregon?
He's moving to Oregon.
I love John.
He's retired, and he almost moved here.
Why,
but-
let's talk him into that.
Taxes
we
in
tried.
California. Come on.
That's probably
I know.
plus. I mean, he's retired. He's in his he's mid-50s, and he may want to get back into work. And up there, if he's by Portland, you can find something up there to do. As here, it's less likely. But he just sits down, a stressful day, sits down at the piano and just plays. And like, oh, you know what?
We
I
need
need
to have him
that
on the
release.
show.
I
He's
need
incredible.
To be honest with you, Dave, you bring it up. I wish I had learned to play the piano.
I had to do. My sisters took lessons.
Somehow they gave the girls.
Right.
Girls get all the stuff.
They get all the good stuff.
I played trombone from third grade through my junior year.
Third grade.
Third grade.
With a,
Well, I'm a large individual. I could play third grade, and my dad played trombone, so I had his trombone play
right.
through 10th grade. At that point, there was too many things going on, and I wasn't. Although I didn't play through school anymore, there was opportunities to play at church because we had a big church with a huge music program, and if we weren't singing, then there was a chance to be in the orchestra and play for different things and stuff. So, but it's been many, many, many years, and my solo singing career speaks for itself. I would have never taken no, but But no, I really, and I could still do it.
You can't sing?
I can sing
on.
all right. I can
He's
sing all
good.
right. I just,
Are you baritone? What are you
baritone,
tenor?
bass? It depends on. I used to call myself a bass, but now that group I like, Home Free, makes me.
See, well, I
I'm not even sure if I'm a male after listening
The
to
bass
that
in
bass.
Home Free is
Has the
insanely
most
cool.
the most incredible range of a singer. He sings notes lower
Who's
than.
this?
His name's Tim Faust. It's
I
an
played for
a
you
cappella
yesterday.
group.
I played when you were out on the deck. I played an a cappella group for you,
Right.
Home
Right.
Free, and there
Right.
was
Right.
like 10 songs, and you were like,
Right.
"Oh, I like those guys."
Right.
Their bass can sing high tenor, and he sings the lowest notes lower than most men can sing.
It'll break
Right.
your woofer.
He'll go an octave lower than most guys can sing.
Yeah.
There's video of him at county fairs busting the sound system with his low notes.
Incredible.
Right.
But
I can't do that.
it's
I can break a sound system.
yeah, but it requires a sledgehammer.
Yeah, I need a
30
hammer.
odd six.
But and there's still time to learn. But I need to just. I think one of the nice things about living in the woods with limited neighbors is you can go sit outside and play and not
It's
bug
like being in
anybody.
the shower in the old days.
Absolutely.
Yeah, do you? So you have like you don't? Do you do a cappella night in your cabin, or is it? Are you singing along with
Always.
the best? Who do you like to sing along with the most in your cabin, Dave?
Right now, Home Free is huge. But
Which part do you sing in Home Free? Do you sing them all? Or?
yeah, I'll sing all of them.
Sing 'em all.
Are they Christian guys or?
They're not Christian. However, my favorite version of How Great Thou Art I've ever heard.
goodness.
It's stunning.
They have like a sort of a spiritual aspect to their music, but they're not like dedicated
They're
Christian
just
music.
they're amazing
Good singers, talented.
singers. Every one of them, to me, you can hear them sing individually. There's no reason they all shouldn't be solo
on their own.
artists on their own. They're all amazing, but they're fun. But I listen to. I have a playlist on my Spotify, which is, I don't know if you're familiar with Spotify, but it's an online music service, but you can pretty much find any song that there is by anybody who's ever sang it.
He doesn't know
Online,
online,
You caught me
Spotify.
at online. That's where my
Every
It
single
is
word.
computer-fied music.
There you go.
computerfied. You lost
Yeah.
me there. Too.
Were there
Yeah,
computers
computer.
on the? You were on a. You were in a submarine. Was it a U-boat? What were you on?
Well, a U-boat. A U-boat was the term for the German Navy submarine. So
Were there any computers on your boat?
no, there weren't any computers.
Between your ears, everyone had a computer between your
Computers
ears.
didn't live when I was in the Navy. That was in the 50s. I was in the Navy from 57 to 61, and computers weren't born yet.
So that whole submarine was. How did you get in
Actually-
a submarine? How did you went to the? You were a little. So things didn't work out with
Well,
Eleanor.
we were talking with Dave. Let's talk about Dave's.
Dave's.
Yeah.
I want to go.
Well, I'll tell you, back to Spotify, it's my favorite thing. You can pretty much, if you think of a song, you can find it, and it's free. You can listen to it. As long as you stay connected to the internet, you can listen to it. And you can make different playlists on there. So it could be by the type of music. We have a playlist we listen to here we call Deck
Do you
Rock.
understand what he's saying?
I do.
understand.
I'm the exact same age as Dave, and so I get it.
So we get it.
There's
Pops.
the internet is like a big cloud of computers together. Have you seen outer space?
I've been there.
Yeah. Okay. When you were
Been
there,
baby.
did you see the internet?
I've been there, baby.
I don't get the internet either, but what I know is that the computer now, it's almost like science fiction where you wish your phone had an ability to do something, and you can make your phone do that thing. So it's like, man, I wish I knew kung fu, and then your phone teaches you kung fu.
Okay, without trying to get grim here, I'm heading into the autumn of my life. Mm-hmm. Well,
Winter.
We're damn near past winter already.
You're
but
in a deep winter.
We're into deep. Well, let's back up a little bit.
Autumn.
So I started this
snow's
business
5
that I'm
feet
doing now when I was 70, and that's 10 years ago. So you add it up, folks. I'm approaching 80, and so what I'm doing, I'm retiring. I'm quitting driving. I'm giving up my
I'd
driver's
do that
license.
now if I had the choice. I'd quit driving now.
Yeah,
You're quitting of your own volition. Your sons didn't talk to you about it. You decided
No.
on your own to quit
I'm
driving.
I don't, especially in the Bay Area where you are. I don't know how you do it.
That's right. And my battle cry is, I don't want to kill a kid.
I don't blame you. You know what, Bill? When I drive to the Bay Area, especially, it seems to be worse when 680 turns into 280. Okay, that curve there where 680 turns into 280. I feel like I'm flying information with the Blue Angels, but nobody's talking to each other.
Yeah, you're guessing, right? You're like, oh, I think.
That scares the crud out of me.
It's like 9 high, whatever.
Right.
And you would explode. Like, there's no room for error.
A few years ago, I made the mistakes of watching those dash cam videos. Here, I'm talking technology again, but people feel the need to put a dash cam, camera on their right, and then try to drive over to Mark and Lori's over 17.
Oh man,
It's almost debilitating. In my, like, you can't close your eyes and open them up when you get to the other side.
you're not supposed to.
You're not supposed to, but you got that center divider. If they never put the center divider on 17, I don't know what would you do. But
when I was in high school at Los Gatos High, which was at the base on the Santa Clara Valley side,
right,
there was no center divider.
Right, and even when I was a kid, I remember no divider on 17.
I'll exaggerate just a little bit. You lost a kid a week.
Yeah,
There's
17 got another one
and stuff. Yeah, there's pieces everywhere.
Wasn't that bad, but it was pretty bad.
Yeah. And that is part 1 of our interview with my pop, Bill Rose.
noted octogenarian.
And we thank him for his time and for his insight. And we have 2 more parts to this interview that I'm excited to present.
It only gets better.
Pretty exciting stuff.